Hello and welcome. Today the video we will be discussing is one of my favorite video game franchises, Kingdom Hearts. For my next set of videos, I want to discuss each one of these games more in-depthly. Now, as I'm sure you've probably noticed, my gameplay background is not of Kingdom Hearts 1, and as I'll be referring to it from now on, KH Chain of Memories. And that's because I decided that I want to start off with one of the games that I cared more about. I'm not the biggest fan of 1, so some story details are missing or don't make sense. I'll have a video out soon enough. Anyways, with that segue, let's get into the explanation of the plot. Our story picks up soon after the events of Kingdom Hearts 1, with our heroes Sora, Donald, and Goofy traveling across a grassy path, hoping to find any clues of the King and Riku's whereabouts. After a long day's travel, they decide to rest for a bit, when Sora is suddenly awakened by a man in a black coat. He awakens Donald and Goofy, and they chase this man into a place called Castle Oblivion. Now, inside Castle Oblivion, the man attacks them, and Donald tries to use magic, but as they soon find out, and this will be affecting how the rest of the game is played, everything is controlled by cards. So, the man quickly throws a card at Sora, which contains the world of Traverse Town, which was a destination where their adventure first started off in Kingdom Hearts 1. The man quickly disappears, and they enter the first world, where they encounter him again, and he teaches Sora how to use the cards here, and that if his friends are important, he'll pick up their cards. After a quick plot with the town, it doesn't really do much for the main story. It's just little side plots, and that's how it is with the rest of these worlds, so I'm not going to be discussing those very much, if I do at all. They leave where they encounter these people in black coats, and a strange man with red hair initiates a fight. His name is Axel. After a quick battle, Axel disappears, throwing a new set of cards at Sora that lead him to the next set of worlds. Sora and company quickly travel through a couple Disney side plots, where they arrive atop another floor where they encounter their friend Riku. Sora's excited to see Riku, but Riku is acting funny, and after a quick couple sentences, they do battle. Sora and friends quickly defeat Riku, and he runs off. The three of them, now left there speechless, are trying to recap just what happened at the end of 1, but can't seem to remember it. But instead of letting this slow down the process or turn back, Sora keeps pushing through, remembering that earlier in the tower, the man said, "To remember is to forget, and to forget is to truly remember." So they push on, where they stumble across a lady named Larxene, who is quickly to make fun of them and hands Sora the next set of worlds. After traveling through a couple more, they arrive to meet a mad scientist for the organization. This man's name is Vexen. They try to question him about what's going on, but he's not seeming to talk real easily. So they fight him. After fighting him, he gives Sora a card and tells this card is an opening to another side of his heart. Sora, confused by this, takes the card and opens up a world where he arrives in a place called Twilight Town. And Twilight Town is not a place that's been seen before in the franchise, but will soon become an important place in later games. So Sora and company push on to where they find him at a mysterious mansion and battle him. And Vexen, after being defeated, starts to tell Sora that he's being used, where Axel then soon appears and kills Vexen without a second of remorse. Sora, agitated, tries to attack Axel, but Axel disappears through what is referred to as a corridor of darkness. It's just a fancy name for a portal. It's just a real edgy name. So Sora and company continue to move on, but Sora is starting to forget the most important things of his life. For instance, his friend named Kairi, who he's soon calling Naminé, who we later find out is a nobody. Sora pushes through the tower, and after getting into a fight because he will not turn back, Donald and Goofy leave him, and Sora arrives on Destiny Island, which is a place he used to be with Riku and Kairi. Now, not much happens here, just he has to rebattle Riku again, but Riku is stronger and for some reason is using the power of darkness, which he had sworn off at the end of the first game. And during all of the stuff with Sora, we're taken back to Organization 13, where we find out by the power of Naminé, who's being forced against her will, she's manipulating Sora's memories, so that way he will not remember anything about his past and he can use as an organization for the puppet because he's the only one that can use the Keyblade. Which really isn't true. It's A lot of explanation, we'll get to it in later games. Anyways, Sora keeps moving through and his memories of Kairi come back, except it's not Kairi. In place is the girl named Naminé, where he encounters Riku for the last time. Him being forced to fight Riku, he kills him. And we find out that this isn't actually Riku, but a replica made by Vexen before he was killed. Sora, pissed by this, reunites with Donald, Goofy, and they travel to the top floor of the organization's castle, which is referred to as Castle Oblivion, to go take them on. After a quick battle with Axel leaves, presumed dead. Keep in mind earlier Sora killed Larxene during the whole Naminé situation. It wasn't really that big of a deal. But he heads to the top of the tower where he fights Marluxia, and with the power of him, Replica, Riku, Donald, and Goofy, they're able to defeat him. Naminé apologizes for messing with Sora's memory, and she was actually helped by Axel because Axel helped her get away from the organization temporarily, so that's why they were able to group up with her. And she tells Sora that she can fix his memories, but he's going to have to forget all of Castle Oblivion. Sora, not wanting to, still agrees to, because it's the only way he feels that he can move on forward. Now, while all this is going on, we find out that in the bottom of the castle, in the basement floors, Riku has arrived by the calls of a mysterious man. Not much happens with Riku, but he learns to control the darkness within him and forces Ansem out of his heart. Diz and the king proceed to help him, and Riku finds a balance between light and dark. This game has kind of got a big emphasis. It's a lot of change, but it's unless you play the first games, it doesn't mean as much. That's why I'm not going into nearly as much detail. But he finds a way to control the light and the dark within his heart, chooses a crossroad, but instead of going into a sleep chamber and being able to have everything fixed in his mind, he proceeds to go on with what he knows, and that's the way he thinks he'll progress. And his story ends there after defeating Ansem one last time. Okay, let's get into the gameplay of Chain of Memories. The big thing that turns people off from this game, I know you'd think it'd be the story, and it is with the later games, but people in this game don't enjoy the card-based combat. And that's actually why I decided to make my first video about this. I love the card-based combat. What sucks about it is you can easily be countered. You don't have as much free room. The first game was kind of like a hack and slash. You could press X to attack and press X to attack and square to block. It's kind of how most people played the first game, and people didn't like the change to a card system. And I mean, you can't really blame them. It went to being a strategy game, but I still ended up enjoying it quite a lot. With the combat of cards, you could press X to use a card then, which leaves you open for a card break, or you can use triangle to put a card away for what's called a slate. When you put 3 cards together for your slates, you can do a special move or just do a regular combo. Now, bosses can do the same things, and what I mean by card break is if someone plays a card higher than yours, it breaks your card, but if you use a 0, it automatically breaks their card, but it's a 0. Yours can be broken back just as easily. So the game's really all about timing. Now, it is very, very exploitable for boss fights, though, because with the special combats, Sora becomes invincible, so you just stack a bunch of sliding dashes or Ars Archaeum, and there you go. The boss is defeated. I mean, I've done that before just when I was trying to beat this game, but when I went back and played on Proud Mode, which is the hardest difficulty, I found it more fun to just play around and find different combos I could do. So, I know I'm not really talking much about the combat, but if you talk to people who played it and didn't really enjoy it, you'll understand where this is coming from. Now, the next part of gameplay we come on to is maps. Instead of having the world built for you, you get to take cards and build the world as you see fit. Now, there are some special rooms to get special cards, or save rooms, or Moogle shops. And Moogle shops are used to buy more cards. And cards, you make decks, you can only have so many cards in the deck. I'll get more into that when I discuss level ups. But you get to build your own map, which is something I enjoyed about it. You decide what the next room is. And it turned a lot of people off from the game. They like being told where to go next instead of building a map. I mean, there's an outline of where you can put the rooms, but I mean, come on, they couldn't let you have that much control. Now, the next discussion piece is level ups. When you level up in this game, you can increase Sora's HP, card power, or allow him to learn new slates. You don't start off with all the slates at the start, and some you must obtain via chests. Card power allows you to have more cards and stronger cards, and HP is the more attacks you can get hit. Riku has a different way his is set up, he can either increase his HP or his attack power directly. He doesn't have to have special cards, because unlike Sora, he can't build his own deck. In that world, his deck's pre-decided, and all his slates are available from the beginning. The other thing he gets, though, is called DP, or Dark Power. When he does a certain amount of card breaks or combos, he goes into a form using the darkness within his heart, as gay as that sounds, and he's able to do special combos, hit way harder, move faster, but if he gets hit too many times, he's kicked out of it. So you can use this to increase how long he's in dark mode for.